Good day, guys. So today we have Mr. Tejas with us, who is going to be sharing with us basically his Anglo experience, how the entire interview process went, and what was the outcome. Because mainly the whole journey is important for us, not the outcome itself. So
Yeah.
Tejas, for right now, before Anglo comes into the topic, why did Merchant Navy come in the topic for you?
Actually, when I was in a class 10th, I always wanted to be an automobile engineer.
Okay,
Like I was always fascinated about how engine works, like how the Formula One cars are so fast, or the pickup trucks like Toyota Hilux and those many type of vehicles.
got it.
How are they so extraordinary? So basically, what's inside the hood? I was fascinated about that. I wanted to know about that. So, uh, so I joined mechanical engineering. So when I joined mechanical engineering, I figured out that the condition of automobile engineering is not so good in India,
Okay,
and the family condition was not like that. So I could afford Germany to go to Germany. So I was uh, exploring about myself, and from the beginning, I was always fascinated about different places, exploring different places, to know about different places. So when I come to know about merchant navy, it was the best thing I can have for my life, as I'm with my engine. I'm always with my engine, which is
for
two-stroke
sure.
diesel engine, right? With the machinery, as every mechanical engineer's first love is machinery.
Exactly.
We all know that the
Yeah,
gears,
yeah.
the pumps, and engine, of course. And moving from here and there, like from India to Indonesia, from there to Australia or somewhere else. So I was always fascinated about that. So it was the best profession I could get.
Okay. So this was now your initial research where you saw, okay, condition not only of automobiles but many other careers in India
Yeah,
also
yeah.
same condition.
Not good, not
Exactly.
good.
So because of that you said, okay, forget this, let me look for greener pastures. You found Merchant Navy. So once you found Merchant
Mhm.
Navy, what was your game plan of how to get in? Where did you find these sources of information? Like, what exams are
Ac-
there, what interview, what was your plan?
So, can I be honest?
Sure,
So,
sure.
being very honest, when I was in third year, the COVID struck the India
Okay.
and the whole world in 2020. When I was in sixth semester,
Okay.
so we came to home, and I was like, I asked many seniors. Some of my seniors were in merchant navy. So I asked them. So they told me that there's means like ठीक है हो जाएगा. They were like that कि
Okay.
ऐसा कुछ खास नहीं है. So I was like, I had no plan. I was like, I was in disguise like ठीक है, it will be, I will crack it. I
Yeah.
will easily crack it. I was like that. So I made no plan, and I passed out in 2021. And there were two reasons, and because of course because of my carelessness, I'm still not in merchant navy, to be very honest. And second, I had some responsibility also, so I could not focus on studies.
Okay.
So I did not know that how to fill a form, what are the companies, and I was not in touch of seniors. Then I was exploring the internet, exploring the YouTube. So I found some channels about some colleges. Then I approached some seniors.
Okay.
So I came to know about Anglo Eastern, that it's the most promising merchant navy company in India. You can
Okay.
get. You can. I think so. It's
For
the
sure.
truth.
Okay.
It is the truth. So first, I gave my exam in November 2022 in Delhi.
Okay.
So I did not clear it because I was not even clear about what can come into the exam. What is the syllabus of exam? I
Okay.
was not even sure about that. I was studying fluid mechanics. I was studying strength of material. So anything which come into my way,
Whatever you had done in
I
your
started.
BTech, same thing you were just carrying on as if whatever.
Yes. Like third semester, then fourth semester, I
Hmm.
was studying like that,
Yeah.
and there was not enough time, so I could not even study them thoroughly.
For sure.
So the exam came in front of me. So that at that point I came to know that okay, so this is what Merchant Navy expect me to do. This is what the company expect me to do if I come into Merchant Navy. Like there were so many questions from thermodynamics, so many questions from pumps, VCRS. And as I told you, the when I was in third year, the COVID strike. So when I was in third year, in that same semester, we were introduced to refrigeration and air conditioning. So I had zero idea about refrigeration and air conditioning. Uh, what should I say? Um, my logics, my base was not clear about refrigeration and air conditioning. So I failed that exam very badly. And somebody told me that there is a channel and course of Merchant Navy Decoded, which is run by respected Mr. Praneet Mehta sir.
Yeah.
So I got that. It helped me a lot. To be very honest, it helped me a lot. I studied that Merchant Navy Decoded. I watched videos twice, thrice. I took the MCQs at the end of every chapter. I took that very seriously, and it helped me a lot. And when there is an interview, so my second attempt was in 26 March. I remember the date. 26 March 2023, my second attempt. I cleared the exam, and Merchant Navy Decoded played the most important role in that.
For sure.
I must say that. So I cleared the exam, and then I was not sure about how will be the interview, what interviewer will ask me. So I found some guys. I asked about. So whoever I met, everybody I met, I was sure about that. The Braganza sir took their interview and he rejected them all.
Okay.
So I was sure about that. Braganza sir is going to ask questions from me. So I prepared some questions from here and there from Merchant Navy Decoded Instagram page. So he posted again and again. So my interview was not that good. I must say that.
Okay.
60% was right, but I think I can say that Braganza sir is Mr. Perfectionist. So you can't have.
There cannot be any gap in your understanding. It has to be to perfection, or at least completely correct. Not some gaps here and there, skipping this and that.
Yes. There can no loophole.
Yeah.
There cannot. So that was my experience. He asked me some questions.
Okay. So between this first attempt and second attempt, what actually kept you going to give Anglo a second attempt? Did you apply to any other companies in the meantime?
Actually, no. Only Anglo.
Okay.
Only Anglo. I made Anglo as a target.
Okay.
I'm not looking for synergy. I'm not looking for Sims. I'm not looking for anything. Just Anglo.
Okay.
Because it's my fault that I'm not so focused. If I fill interview of this company, that company, and every other company, so maybe I will not be able to get into any one of them. So why not give my 100% effort for Anglo?
For sure.
So that was my point of view. And the interview which I'm preparing for that was my third attempt.
Yeah.
So my second interview is coming in August. So that was my third attempt, which I gave in 24 June.
Okay.
That was 24 June, and I cleared my Anglo exam second time.
So initially, from going to completely being clueless of the entire portion, you're saying that through a course or a package, somehow you at least got the technical part correct. Because otherwise you were simply searching, where do I find this topic? Who's going to explain it properly from a marine point of view? Because there some marine values are important as well in Anglo especially. You can't be like, sir, two-stroke engine in bike. He's like, that is irrelevant to me. You tell me about the ship.
Ship. Yes. Sure.
That is the important part. So, okay. So now let me move on to the questions that came into your recent interview. And then you can go ahead and explain how exactly you tackled them. so that people will get an idea of how you answered the questions, what was your experience like. Okay, so I'll start off with the non-technical part, which he has kept quite short. So he asked you first, what was your passing out year?
It was 2021.
So then did he cross question you, what did he do from 2021 till now, the gap?
No, he didn't ask anything. No.
Okay, nothing was asked.
He was like just okay, and he moved on.
Okay, moved on. The next question was, what does your family do? So how did you tackle this?
What does my family do? First of all, he asked me about my father.
Okay.
What does my father do? So my father is no more. It's 11 years since.
Okay.
And my brother is a software engineer in L&T. And my mother is a government teacher.
So no cross questions. He was happy with the answer.
Yes.
Okay.
He was okay.
Then he asked you, okay, same in tying to that only, he asked regarding profession. So you explained all of that and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then he moved on directly to technical side.
Yes.
In which he
and he asked me about
Sure.
And he also asked me from where I belong.
Okay. So that also was tackled pretty easily.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
okay. So next was 2-stroke versus 4-stroke. So what was your approach to this? How did you tackle this?
Fuel efficiency of 4-stroke is more than the 2-stroke fuel efficiency.
Okay.
And so as a thermal efficiency. And the mechanical efficiency of 2-stroke is more than the 4-stroke. 4-stroke is considered as a unidirectional engine, whereas 2-stroke is considered as a bidirectional engine. 4-stroke engine requires heavier flywheel, and 2-stroke engine requires lighter flywheel, as the torque is not uniform in 4-stroke engine.
Okay.
Wait a second. Okay, all the four of the processes in 4-stroke engine are completed in 2 revolution of the crankshaft, whereas in 2-stroke engine, all the 4 of the processes are completed in the only 1 revolution of crankshaft.
Okay.
And for 1 power stroke, we need 2 revolution of crankshaft in 4-stroke engine, whereas in 2-stroke engine, we need 1 revolution of crankshaft for 1 power stroke.
Okay, so looks like you actually could have gone a little deeper into the factors as well. So for example, when you mentioned 4-stroke is slightly more efficient or in thermal efficiency, so why? He would like to know whether you have an idea of why that is. Like, scavenging is given its own dedicated stroke.
Yes.
So stuff like that helps really, because simply stating it can be like, okay, he just read, but does he know why that specific thing is there? So even when you come to the topic of 2 revolutions of the crankshaft, so what is the ratio to camshaft? This can be a connecting thing that you can bring in elsewhere.
Yes, it's 2 to okay. I got your point.
So you can try to link selected things.
Okay. So it's like I should differentiate in the rhythm.
Yeah, and then once you talk about crankshaft, and what if the crankshaft is moving 2 times, what is that linked to? Immediately your camshaft. So what is that ratio? All of those things.
2:1.
Yeah.
2:1.
So all of those things could have been explained in that fashion. He would have preferred it. So next we come.
Excuse me. I have one doubt that if, like, you asked me about 2 versus 4-stroke, can I say it like, first of all, I define about 4-stroke and then I go to 2-stroke, rather point to point? Can I do that?
So in case if you do it that way, where I'll explain everything about 4-stroke, everything about 2-stroke, getting the differences becomes a little bit harder because it is vocal, right? He cannot understand all 5 points of yours and keep that in mind. Then all 5 points of yours of your 2-stroke, keep that in mind. That
as
strategy,
I'm not writing it,
yeah. In writing, sometimes it's more better. Okay, 4-stroke, these are all the properties. Let me write down this way and then write down 2-stroke. Then it makes sense because you can read. But when vocally saying, it's better to give this to this, this to this, this to this. Direct comparison you can see.
Okay.
So next question he brought out was VCRS. So how did you go about this one?
VCRS, it's a type of refrigeration cycle, which we call as vapor compression refrigeration cycle. It consists of 4 main parts: compressor, condenser, thermostatic expansion valve, and evaporator. So starting with the compressor, from the evaporator, there is a low pressure and high temperature superheated vapor come to the compressor. then it compresses the vapor, and when that compressed vapor refrigerant goes, which is high temperature and high pressure,
Okay.
goes to the condenser, and condenser condenses it. As we know, the compressor does, excuse me,
The condenser. Okay.
in the condenser, that vapor refrigerant becomes liquid refrigerant, and the pressure and temperature both drops actually.
Okay.
Then that refrigerant goes to the thermostatic expansion weld, and throttling process takes place, in which both temperature and pressure drops, and then that liquid refrigerant becomes 80% liquid and 20% vapor,
Okay.
and then it goes to the evaporator, and in evaporator it travels through the coil, and at the end of the evaporator it becomes superheated vapor. So that is the complete cycle.
Okay. So in this answer is okay, pretty good, but you have missed some key components to safeguard the compressor, etc. So, for example, to ensure that liquid doesn't enter the compressor, because liquid is incompressible. If liquid goes there, compressor will be damaged. So there's a sensing bulb.
Sensing bulb, yes.
Sensing bulb is connected via the capillary tube to your throttling area. Plus, there's a dryer after the condenser just to remove any excess moisture or something. So
consisting of silica gel.
Yeah. So if you had brought in these additional parts, they make it more specific to a ship.
Okay.
So maybe that can be a next thing that you can keep in mind, to keep these small points also in mind. And then it was not asked in this case, but in case you want to specify, if he's still, saying, okay, continue, then you can also get some values for your evaporator coil and your pressure and stuff for the compressor and condenser, etc.
Okay.
That is also another thing. And also cross question immediately will be like the name of the refrigerant. So that also has to be on your radar.
R134A.
Yeah, on ship plus land, all of that. Okay, so
R134.
what was the older ones, what are the newer ones, and why this shift has taken place? So all of the chlorofluorocarbons to hydrofluorocarbons, all of that can come as cross questions. So that is one thing that you also have to keep in mind.
If older wasn't CFC.
Yeah. So older
CFC.
ones will be there. So you'll have to get some examples of the CFC ones plus the newer current ones, and then why did this switch? What was the damage in the CFC? Okay. That part has to be cleared out.
Sure.
Okay, so the next question was basically a cross question to VCRS, is how does the refrigerant absorb heat in the evaporator, and how does it cool down the room?
Yes.
So how did you tackle this?
So actually at that point of time I stuck in the question.
Okay.
But slowly I figured out, and I asked this question. So when after the throttling, when that low temperature, low pressure refrigerant goes to the evaporator, it absorbs heat from the room, and at the end of the cooling coil it becomes a superheated vapor.
Okay.
So as we know, the desirable property of the refrigerant is low boiling point and low latent heat of evaporation. So it takes heat from the room to become superheated vapor, and when this heat is consumed in making it a superheated vapor, after that the cooled air, which becomes cooled after
because the heat was given to the refrigerant.
Yes, that heat, when that heat transfer takes place, then the cool air is blown to the room.
Okay.
By the fans.
So that's the one thing that you were not sure back then, but now at least you have cleared that in the future in case a similar question comes. And then again, this will be the main logical part. But to get this executed, there'll be a fan, there'll be fins, etc. to aid in speeding up the heat transfer, all of that stuff. Great. So next he came into Lenz law.
Lenz law, as we know that, I didn't even know that about that.
Okay.
I didn't even know about that. I was blank about Lenz law.
So
in previous question, I had some idea.
No, but during the interview you said, so I don't know, or did you attempt at least first? What was your strategy?
I said I'm not aware about this. Actually, this law was completely washed out from my brain. So I say the rubbish.
It becomes even worse. Yeah. So you said, okay, I don't know.
Even worse. So
after the fact, you have gone ahead, had a look at it. So now you can tell us about Lenz law.
So as the Faraday law explains that when we bring a magnet near to the coil and we start moving it towards and from and away from it, the current start inducing in them. Because of that current, we got a extra force which is called as electromotive force, which is the main responsible for the induced current inside the coil.
Okay.
So Lenz law said that the EMF which is induced in the inside the coil is the main force which opposes the motion.
Okay.
When he passed a magnet inside the coil, he experienced that there's a force which opposes the motion of the magnet, and it was the same force which was responsible for inducing current in the coil. So it was EMF which induced the force.
Okay. Okay. So basically, Lenz law, you have gone ahead and done it later. So technically speaking, no, this Lenz law actually counts as a cross question for induction motor. So by finding out if you know Lenz law, he has understood whether you know or whether you have studied the entire topic of induction motor. Because if you studied induction motor, you would have studied Faraday's law. Faraday's law, you would have studied Lenz law. So immediately from
Lenz
one
law.
question, all three he has come to know that you're not sure about.
From induction motor to so that was the point of asking Lenz law. Okay.
So directly Lenz law means, okay, if the person doesn't know Lenz law, that means Faraday's he has no idea about. Same thing, Faraday's no idea about means motor also he has no idea about. Induction motor.
He has no idea.
Three-phase induction motor.
Okay.
So that is the ideology of how he went ahead and, thought of cutting out those two. If he knows this, then he could have gone ahead and given you cross question. Okay, explain the full induction motor. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now he moved on into pumps. Centrifugal pump specifically. So it says diagram and parts. So how did you explain?
Can I draw?
Sure, you can draw, but I think it should be visible. Yeah,
I can draw.
Okay.
Wait. Sorry to make you wait.
No issues. Take your time.
I'm making it with pen right
Sure,
now.
no issues.
I lost my pencil.
It will be better. It will be more visible also.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Is it visible?
Yeah. That light was better, I think.
The light was better. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So here is the suction pipe with a foot valve and a strainer inside a sump.
Okay.
Where we have a fluid which we want to pump.
Okay.
That liquid goes through the impeller eye and to the impeller, and that impeller gives the kinetic energy to the liquid, and it goes to the casing. This is casing, and after that it delivers through the delivery pipe. So this is the delivery pipe.
Okay. Any other components that I mentioned? I couldn't see exactly, but have you mentioned regarding the motor, the shaft, the sealing box or stuffing box, whatever?
No, actually, the components which I said, only those I made.
Okay,
actually,
so you didn't actually talk about sealing box, stuffing box, all of that stuff?
No.
Okay. Because sometimes he would also like to see a priming port also on the pump. Because centrifugal pump is not self-priming. So if you can show the priming port also, it helps. So you can explain that, while taking suction, if there's air, pump will not work. So then he might even ask you a cross question of why air will not make the centrifugal pump to work, but you can say priming is required because of that, and follow up all of that stuff.
Yes.
So the cross question to this diagram was, how is pressure created in the centrifugal pump?
Okay. When the water is coming to the impeller through the impeller eye from the suction pipe, the impeller imparts the kinetic energy to the water.
Okay.
So there are more local velocities and low pressure. As we have the volute casing of the casing, which has a gradually increasing cross-sectional area. So as we know that as the area increases, the velocity decreases and pressure increases.
Yeah.
So when the water is moving far and far from the impeller, and the area and the cross-sectional area of the casing keeps on increasing, that's how the pressure is increased in the pump.
Just a second. Okay, so finally coming to the last two sections of the specific questions was safety mountings of the boiler. This is definitely a very textbook question, so hopefully you attacked it properly.
Yes, that time I attempted that properly.
Okay, so that is a very textbook answer. And finally, safeties of air compressors. So this is recently a new trend that is going on with most of the colleges.
Yes.
That they're going a lot into safeties. So hopefully you also checked out the video that we had created on safeties of not only air compressor, but also auxiliary engine, all of that stuff. So
yes,
all of that is covered. Okay. So then in this particular interview, it was quite clear that you didn't know a couple of things here and there specifically.
Yes,
so it was almost, like very likely that you would not proceed further at this stage. So now what is your game plan next?
Actually, my game plan is I've come through the many questions which Braganza sir frequently asks.
Okay.
I've talked to the many guys.
Yeah, you gathered your knowledge and information.
I asked them what kind of answers, what kind of questions he asked, and I asked them about how you attempted the answers. So I get the feedback from both type of the people
sure.
who got selected and who not got selected. So actually I've written some of the questions and I'm writing them that how will I attempt the answer. And fortunately I got you, and you're telling me that how should I attempt the answers. So that's what my game plan is.
So like for next time, at least once you're done with this, analysis that you're currently doing, checking out, okay, what I answered, how can I better it to reduce, as you said, any loophole or communication gap, add some values to make sure that interviewer knows, okay, he is perfect with his knowledge. Then maybe you can even have 1 or 2 mock interviews, because that again will, help you improve with feedback, etc.
So Avito, if I ask you, so what is your feedback about myself? That are there any chances that Braganza sir will select me? Or
usually,
what can I do to get selected?
No, usually what happens is with specifically with Anglo, each attempt that you give, right, then they will be double sort of checking out, okay, is it more or less sure completely, or is anything still missed out? If you're a double or a repeat sort of interviewee, so now you're going to have to keep sure that if you go for another attempt, it has to be completely perfect, like no sort of stutter, no thinking or any of that. Even if pump is mentioned, full shaft, motor, everything has to be drawn.
Okay.
So not just the pump. So that is going to be the game plan.
Means
because your communication skills are fine. So at least that is one thing that you have on your side.
Okay, so I'm good about communication skills.
Yeah, it's more than plentiful for the interview. So only technical knowledge is your 50% that you have to put in now.
Okay, so means I have to give little more extra effort.
Yeah, because now it's in the details. So the details will be important, because general idea everyone knows, but details is what they will see for repeat interview at least. So repeat with values if you can give, even better. So for example, like how I told you, even for 2-stroke, 4-stroke, you mentioned a point, but why? That is important. If you can give that for
That
each
is more
one.
important.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that will be the final sort of conclusion for this attempt. So sadly, it did not work out this time, but I'm pretty sure that you're not going to be giving up anytime soon. So congrats on the next attempt that you'll possibly be giving shortly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.